Good morning, everyone. I just have a few comments about the speech from the throne and how the Green Party is planning to vote on the speech from the throne. So we unfortunately, and it is unfortunate because we are the Green Party and we are a party that believes in collaboration and cooperation, particularly in this moment of pandemic, particularly in this moment where Canadians are demanding that kind of collaboration and cooperation. It is very unfortunate that we feel that we cannot support the speech from the throne. We cannot support the speech from the throne for three reasons in particular, and they're all urgent, so it's not in any particular order. First, on the social side, while we are pleased to see that the government has extended emergency benefits to those who are most in need, and we support that and will continue to support that. There are some people who continue to be left out. And in this instance, I want to point out particularly those who are living in long-term care. We have had thousands of deaths across Canada because of our chronic, systemic, structural failures in meeting the needs and protecting people who live in long-term care. I am not just speaking of seniors, I am also speaking of people with special needs and with disabilities. And those people are not protected. There was nothing in the plan that is going to protect them on an urgent basis. And as we head into the second wave of the pandemic, it is very important that we have an urgent conversation with the various levels of government on how we're going to protect them now and in the future. And what we have asked for is for the government to look into first dealing with those urgent needs and then reforming the system so that it is wrapped into the Canada Health Act so that people have the opportunity not to have to go into those facilities in the first place. Alors en français, malheureusement, notre caucus, notre parti ne peut pas soutenir the speech from the throne, discours de la trône, merci. Et en fait, c'est très malheureux parce que nous sommes un parti de collaboration, de coopération. Et notre défaut, notre mode de défaut, c'est de soutenir le gouvernement, surtout dans un moment d'urgence, surtout dans un moment où les personnes au Canada réclament une coopération et collaboration entre les différents niveaux de gouvernement et entre les différents partis. Mais il y a plusieurs choses qui manquent. Une de ces choses, c'est une réforme de nos centres de soins de longue durée. Pas que pour les aînés, mais pour les personnes avec des besoins. Leurs besoins sont urgents. Nous sommes en train de voir des milliers de Canadiens, de personnes au Canada qui meurent sans des morts prévisibles, des morts qui n'étaient pas nécessaires parce que nous n'avons pas créé un système de soins de longue durée qui respecte leur dignité, qui respecte leur sécurité. Moi, je cherchais, notre caucus notre parti cherchait un vrai plan d'urgence, une vraie discussion urgente avec les provinces et avec notre gouvernement pour adresser ces besoins urgents. And then secondly, guaranteed livable income. It has been very encouraging to hear the NDP, the Liberals, 50 senators in our Senate talk about guaranteed livable income. They call it guaranteed basic income. We call it livable income because you need to be able to live on it and live in dignity. And so that is encouraging. And what I expected to hear at a moment where we're looking for that new direction that is going to make us more resilient the next time and build that better future that the government had been talking about, I had been looking for at least an indication that the government was going to be introducing a pilot program, sitting down with the provinces to talk about how can we begin the urgent conversations now so that when we do emerge from the worst part of the pandemic, we have a plan. And unfortunately, there was nothing there. Alors, sur le revenu minimum garanti, il n'avait aucun mot sur ça. Je suis très content parce que c'est une politique du Parti vert, ça fait beaucoup d'années, d'introduire un revenu minimum garanti. C'est clair qu'un revenu minimum est nécessaire pour protéger les gens dans les moments d'urgence dans le futur. Alors, on était déçus de ne pas voir un plan pour encore discuter avec les provinces comment nous allons introduire, de parler peut-être d'un programme pilote pour expérimenter avec les différents modèles. And so that is something that we absolutely want to see on an urgent basis for people in Canada. We can keep running to plug holes, or we can have a real solution. And then finally, and we can never forget this because it hasn't forgotten us, there's the climate emergency. The climate emergency is as urgent today as it was when the pandemic hit, and it's a true mark of leadership when a government speaks about it, even in a moment of crisis. And so when we did not hear what we had to hear, and we've been very clear with the Prime Minister and with the government, that if we do not hear that the government is planning to increase its targets in a manner that corresponds with the science and in a manner that respects our international obligations. And I will remind the Prime Minister that we were obliged to increase our Paris targets this year. It was a non-negotiable date, and we have not made that commitment. There was not one word about that. And so once again, we are failing to demonstrate national and international leadership on the climate emergency, and we could not support any plan that does not protect our future. Alors, le gouvernement n'a pas fait ce qu'il avait l'obligation à faire, et c'est d'augmenter nos cibles pour réduire nos émissions de gaz à effet de serre. C'est une obligation non négociable, une obligation qui est là dans l'accord de Paris. Et le Parti vert était toujours très clair que si nous n'avons pas des cibles qui correspondent à la science et correspondent à nos obligations internationales, ce n'est pas possible de soutenir le discours de trône, ni le gouvernement en fait. C'est une ligne rouge pour le Parti vert et ça va être toujours une ligne rouge pour le Parti vert. And so with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
We'll now go to questions, starting with questions on the phone. Quick reminder, one question, one follow-up. Nous allons maintenant passer aux questions, en commençant avec les questions au téléphone. Un petit rappel que c'est une question suivie seulement. Opératrice, avons-nous une première question?
Please press star one on your telephone pad if you have a question, sorry. S'il vous plaît, appuyez sur étoile 1 sur votre téléphone si vous avez une question. Once again, please press star one on your telephone keypad if you have a question. À nouveau, s'il vous plaît, appuyez sur étoile 1 sur votre téléphone si vous avez une question. There are no questions at this time.
Il n'y
a pas de questions en ce moment.
That's the first time in 3 days.
We'll take a question in the room now.
I mean, I'm talking to BBC and The Guardian later, but I'll save my voice for now. Oh, thank you.
Hi, good morning. David Thurton, CBC News.
Hi, David.
But we are seeing reforms to employment insurance. We are seeing various benefits that will help replace CERB. So I guess the question I'm wondering, Ms. Paul, is do you not see that potentially as a step towards a guaranteed livable income? And is that not a reason to maybe support the throne speech?
Well, again, I am pleased, and our party will continue to be pleased to support anything that helps to protect Canadians and people in Canada in this moment of urgent need. And so there are some good elements in the speech from the throne. As I said, I'm very happy to see that the benefits have been extended, the emergency benefits have been extended, that there are plans to reform employment insurance to make it more accessible. But these are just patchwork solutions. These are just stopgap solutions. We know, and the Centre for Policy Alternatives has told us, that there are still many, many Canadians that will not be covered by what the government is offering. Students are still left out. Students who did not work this summer, 40% of students had no job this summer. And it is those people, the ones that will continue to be left out until we have a universal plan that we're thinking about when we think about why we need a guaranteed livable income. I understand that the Liberal caucus has made it clear to the Prime Minister that they prioritize it. It was the number one priority of the caucus when they met just a little while ago. And so I'm very surprised not to see it there. In a party like ours, you would absolutely have seen it there because our members and certainly our caucus they are the ones that direct our policy. So the fact that it's not there is disappointing, and the fact that we see why it's needed and it's not there makes it particularly disappointing. So it is a step in the right direction, but it's simply not enough. And this is the moment again, as I said yesterday and the day before, we need a bold vision for the future that creates the programs that allow us to be more resilient permanently. We need to stop this stopgap patchwork system that still leaves so many people behind.
You're going to be meeting with the Prime Minister, or maybe you've had that meeting virtually
Today.
So can you tell us how that's going to happen? What time is that going to happen?
You're asking me.
Well,
we're happy to provide you with those details. I know that it's happening today. I don't know anything more. It's a moment by moment experience for me right now.
So is it in person? Is it?
I really don't know any of the details, but I do know that we have something confirmed. I assume it's going to be virtual, but if it isn't, we'll let you know.
So is your message going to be? What's your message?
I just gave a thumbs up for virtual.
Oh, okay. That's the person you want to talk to.
So what's your message going to be to him? That we're not supporting your speech, or what's?
It's going to be that. We simply can't. We will always look for the areas of cooperation and collaboration with anyone who is looking to help meet the urgent needs of people in Canada in this moment of crisis. We will continue to do that and to support them. You will never see from me personally, you will never see from our party, a party that is going to take a cheap partisan shot, that is going to, shoot from the hip without truly considering all of the policies. I know that the Conservatives came out immediately, just seconds after it was done, and said, no. We talked about it. We thought about it. We acknowledged that there were some very good things in there. But in a moment, this is the moment, as I said, for these three things. There are people dying because of what we have not done in long-term care. They have died yesterday. They will die tomorrow. And if we do not take care of the most vulnerable people in our society, if we can't have a plan for them, then we're in a lot of trouble. And in terms of the climate emergency, it is absolutely urgent. We have 10 years, and we are trying to regain our stature on the international stage. How do you do that when a country as wealthy as ours, when a country where so many people have said this is one of their top few priorities, we cannot meet our simple international obligations to increase our nationally determined contributions and set targets that correspond to the science and will protect life on this planet? It is unfathomable to me why this historic moment, when I believe everyone was waiting to hear that from the Prime Minister, from the government, it escapes me why he did not seize this opportunity to set those targets and to explain to Canadians how we were going to get there in a way that actually sets us up economically for the future. This is a good news story, and it is really. Again, a lack of leadership when you set up the climate against other needs. This is not an either or. If we invest in the technologies that are going to allow us to reduce our emissions, then we are creating the jobs of the future, the infrastructure of the future. This is an opportunity for leadership. This is an opportunity for our economy. And that is the message, that is the narrative he needs to be sharing with Canadians. And so until he does, and until he sets those targets, we cannot support this speech from the throne.
I'll check one more time if we have any questions on the phone. Operator?
Once again, please press star one on your telephone keypad if you have a question. S'il vous plaît, appuyez sur l'étoile 1. T'as toute question. We still have no questions on the phone.
David, do you have another question?
Okay. Sorry, Elizabeth just reminded me that Paul Manley is upstairs also, excuse me, explaining why we're unable to support the speech.
Okay. I just wanted to come back to something that was said at the press conference yesterday about the Toronto Senate by-election. We had that response from the NDP saying that they will not be withdrawing their candidate. And they seemed to suggest that it was a bit disingenuous to suggest that they should offer leaders courtesy, because this is not a Green-held seat. And you know, this is not a sitting Green MP that is stepping down to make way for you. I wonder if you wanted to respond to that anyway, if you wanted to maybe respond in any way to what one of your MPs was saying. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. First, as I said yesterday, I have no expectations surrounding that at all. I assumed that they would be running a candidate in that riding. And so we are prepared to run, and we will run as hard as we can to win that seat. It is the Liberal seat. The NDP knows that. We know that. I mean, it's the safest seat in the safest city, in the safest province for the Liberals. We know that. But I'm not going to run away from that. I made this decision before I won the leadership. Because, again, people in Toronto Centre deserve real representation. I didn't mention it during the press conference yesterday, but people should understand that two of the epicenters of COVID outbreaks in Toronto and therefore in Ontario are right in this riding. So imagine calling a by-election when your your residents and citizens are struggling with a virus outbreak where they live, in the compressed housing because there isn't affordable housing in the riding because of your failed policies. And so Greens are always going to show up. Ultimately, it is up to the residents in the riding, but we are going to show up. And in terms of the rest, what we should and shouldn't get, and what the NDP has been saying, I will only say to them that we in terms of what was said yesterday, we don't have any expectations on this, and unfortunately on other things as well. We do hope. I'm looking forward to speaking with Jagmeet. The Prime Minister has reached out, but I haven't received a similar invitation from Jagmeet, but I hope we'll have a conversation about how we can work together in the months to come and years to come to get Canadians the help that they need. And I will say that, I think we're both in agreement that the Liberals are not the best option for Toronto Centre residents. Does that satisfy? Yeah? Okay. Thank you very much.
This concludes the press conference. Ceci me fait la conférence de presse. Merci.